Okay, I guess we should start off with the most obvious
Yeah,
artifact Scythe.
yeah. So people are like comparing Scythe to Dagda, and this card is not broken unless this card doesn't really need to be played at all as you're playing Scythe. Like you're never gonna just put in artifact Dagda for Lancia. So it definitely would just kill Scythe off. Like it just needs to go right now.
Yeah, card's kind of toxic.
And I don't want to see it like constantly played at nationals because this is like focusing on what's going to happen with nationals because NAWCQ was announced yesterday at the time of recording of this video. To be hosted in right outside of Chicago in Rosemont, Illinois, and so this is going to be our ban list. Once this ban list actually hits, this will be what's played for nationals. I don't think they're going to have that kind of legal. They really didn't do that last time we had a nationals in 2019. There was nothing. There were no locks or anything that were like actual almost FTKs or pseudo FTKs. Even though Scythe was legal then, we didn't have Dagda. We didn't have a lot of cards then. We also didn't have Halkifibrax legal or Roared anything like that. So this is like geared towards our nationals.
Yeah, and then I guess the next thing is the Fusion Destiny.
Yeah, so it's either between Fusion Destiny, Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, or Verde Anaconda. I think they're going to take the safe route and just kill off Verte. Like, it hurts Albaz a little bit, but it hurts a lot, a lot of other decks way more.
Yeah, one of the three have to go. I don't know which one, but yeah, it's real toxic that this is also in the game because like the card's just too good.
Yeah,
it
so
really
DP, you can make your like garbage deck that normally doesn't play through anything insanely good because of these cards existing. And I think the only correct hits would either be Verte or DPE, because like Fusion Destiny on summon is not insanely good. I know that most fusion spells that fuse from deck tend to be pretty good, but they're only as good as the monsters they summon. So like very few people are playing Neos because that stuff just kind of sucks because the monsters you summon don't do anything on their own. But DP on its own is pretty darn good, right? So I just don't see that being hit any further. I think they just did it just to have some kind of hit to DP, because 3 Fusion Destiny is insane with DP, but without DP in the game or Verte, I just don't see it really being as much of an issue.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And then, of course, we have, we'll talk about the adventure stuff. So these are huge right now. At the last YCS, the in-person YCS, 52% of decks were playing adventure. It was 17 out of 32. So more often than not, you're playing adventure decks. Clearly, the representation is way too high. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. I think right now it's not good because this deck can be splashed into basically anything, and it just lets you do basically whatever you want. A lot of people are saying to ban Griffin Rider or Draco back. I can understand Draco back more than Griffin. We're getting a legal knight in Dimension Force. We don't know what rarity it is quite yet, but I don't think you need to hit the power cards right now. I think you just need to hit the consistency, and it's either between Rite of Aramesir or Water Enchantress. I'm leaning to more Rite of Aramesir, even though you can send this off of Karubini. That's fine. You only have one of those anyway, and like if they banish it, you draw a second Water Enchantress, whatever. I think that's way better. So I would say Rite to 1 rather than Aqua Enchantress or Water Enchantress to 1.
Personally, I think either Griffin needs to get banned or Rite and Temple need to go to 1. I just don't like this engine in the game. I don't even want to make it playable. And I know we have a new card coming out, but I don't think that really should mean we should keep the most like insane engine legal.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see those cards both go to 1, but if I had to pick one, Rite of Aramesir over Water Enchantress. But I agree. At least these two can go to 1, even if you leave like Griffin Rider at 3 and Draco back at 3.
Yeah, I don't see why you would ever hit Draco back because that card's just like whatever. But like, yeah, if we don't ban Griffin, we need to hit Rite or Temple, but I think both should go to 1.
Preferably both. And then the reason why I don't care about this as much, even though some people hate it, is because it bounces Mystic Mind, and I just don't think this card should be in the game still. After literally 3 years it's been in the game, and it was really good at the last Nationals, 2019. Dodged the ban list for 3 years. It should have been gone in 2019, but yeah, this card's still at 3 for some reason in the TCG. Probably should go. It's not extremely oppressive right now. It just makes a lot of decks that aren't good on their own, like Striker, viable in some way, as well as some of these side engines, but mainly because of Mystic Mine existing. Ignister plays it, but not for the exact same reason. Yeah, I just don't think this card should be legal, though.
Yeah, card's not really interactive. I don't know why you would want it in a format.
Yeah, and these couple other cards are the ones we think are going to get hit. Something, you know, the artifact stuff, Fusion, Destiny cards, Adventure. What could go is Mystic Mine. I don't necessarily think it's going to get hit, but it probably should.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about Hulk now because Hulk or Ornon, one of those is probably going. We don't, or maybe Despot 001.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think the correct hit is always going to be Hulky Fibrax because that is just always going to be the root of the problem, rather than banning, 10 different tuners. Because the second that card goes, all the other tuners we have up here can probably come to 3. Maybe not Steam, because Steam on its own is actually really good. It never had the cards that it needed to be good enough. Until now, we have a bunch of other cards besides Hulk. I think that's maybe the only one, but the others are just extenders that you summon from Fibrax. But I think the root of the problem will always be Fibrax.
Hopefully Fibrax gets banned, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think they're going to hit something else like Despot 01. I maybe not that card, but I could see something stupid like Auroradon being banned for a format, and then they finally kill off Fibrax. I think they're going to just keep this as mild as possible, this ban list, and then have something bigger in October, just not to shake up the format too much, but to reduce the overall power of some of these decks.
I think Meow Meow or Doodle are probably going also, one of them, or...
Yeah, I think they're either going to put this to 0 or put Doodle to 1, because that kills the grind game if you put either of them to those respective numbers. I don't think they need to ban this card, though, outright. Because it's just not. It's strong. It's a really powerful card. You just don't need to kill that card outright. But Meow, I think, definitely could go.
Yeah, I mean, the prank engine just is so good for resource management, likewise, because you just get so much off of a single normal summon. And, like, if you just level back with pranks, you just do it again next turn, and it's just so much.
Yeah.
And then...
could come off. We also have... Red Reboot.
Oh, yeah, Red Reboot.
That is a card I don't think should stay in the game either. I hate trap decks, but this card is just insanely impressive. Imagine having like a counter trap. You pay half your life. When your opponent activates a spell, you can set a spell from your deck, but you can't activate any more spells. It's the exact same thing for trap decks.
Yeah, like this card is just 1/3 of the Yu-Gi-Oh mechanics just doesn't exist if this card is in your hand, which is stupid. I mean, it doesn't see much play currently, mainly because trap decks are terrible. But like, even though if you draw this card against like that Eldritch deck that got second place, you're probably just winning the match. Let's say have Solemn Judgment. So like, if you just think about that, that just shouldn't be possible. You shouldn't be able to just beat a whole like deck off of just a singular card that like has no counterplay to it. There's just not much you can do outside of Solemn Judgment. So yeah,
I agree. And that card's just been insane since it came out. But the cards that probably could come back at some number, it's a longer list, obviously, because I think there are a lot more cards that should come back or could, rather than what needs to get hit, because there are very specific problems in the format, rather than what could happen in the future, because we know we're getting a bunch of sets between now and the NAWCQ, so we're going to have, obviously, Dimension Force comes out in less than a month at this point, and Ghost from the Past 2 brings the Agents deck in, brings a bunch of reprints to make a bunch more decks cheap. I'm sure they did that, knowing that NAWCQ was being planned, just to have people play affordable decks. We also have Tactical Masters coming out, which I think is going to be middle of June approximately. That introduces Valiance, Mr. Ruins, and Labyrinth. And then we have the Legendary Duelist Water set, the Mako Tsunami set. So they're gonna have a bunch of support in there with some cool shark cards, but I don't think the Legendary Duelist set makes a huge difference because we already know the cards from the OCG. Dimension Force definitely will, because Therion's come out and there are a bunch of support cards in that set for a bunch of decks. And Tactical Masters we'll have to see with Mr. Ruins, because that has the most potential, I think, and then Valiance, and then Labyrinth in that order. So there's a lot of product coming out, but I don't think they're making it insane like Power of the Elements is, specifically for because they could have delayed product more if they wanted to, if they wanted to shake up the format a whole lot more. That's why I also don't think there's going to be huge ban lists. It'll just be enough to make deck representation a little bit different, but not kill off everything. And then in October, like I said, they'll take care of a lot more decks.
Yeah, and then we have all these Pendulum cards because the Pendulum mechanic kind of just is terrible without Electromite.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's be real, no one's even playing Astrograph currently, so I don't see why Monkey Board, Plushfire, or Kieran should make a difference. Like Kieran, he would have like bad memories of it, but like if you think about it now, it's just like any other like card. Like you can out it very easily. The card shouldn't be that oppressive anymore.
Yeah, it's not oppressive anymore whatsoever. It's because we have a bunch of decks that can play around as much as you want. Like realistically speaking, I think Astrograph can't exist with Electromite, but because we just keep Electromite banned because that's clearly the root of the problem. Just like Fibrax, they put Astrograph to 3. I think that's fine.
Yeah, and we get that new Pendulum link coming out soon, so I like to see Pendulums at least somewhat playable, even though I'm not fond over the I have no real opinion on the Pendulum mechanic, but these cards just aren't good anymore. So what are you popping with Plushfire to make that Wavering Eyes isn't good anymore? So it's just crazy this card's still on the list.
Yeah, Wavering Eye is basically unplayable right now. Even if Metal Foes were to play, cool. Metal Foes just you inherently play a lot of bricky cards anyway, which doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and that is the only Pendulum deck that's really abusing that without Electromite. Electromite coming back at all? Again, I don't think it would. I don't think it should. Would be a whole different argument, but this is assuming that Electromite would stay at 0. I don't think that card's coming off in the TCG. I think TCG knows a little bit better than that, and they tend to understand that a little bit better, even with beyond Fibrax. Fibrax is a whole different story. But generally speaking, they do take care of problem cards. At least they have in the past, about past 2 years.
Yeah, and then I think next thing we can look at is if we ban Hulk, Smoke Grenade can come back because you're just not doing anything with Smoke Grenade, which is probably a good thing. Because And
there's that new Powerful Dragon coming out in Power of the Elements that can search it or equip it. It's not huge to really worry about though without Fibrax because you have to make a very dedicated deck, and that's more of a combo deck that loses to hand traps. Number one example is Infernoble. They would play that card. Because they can naturally summon it, or summon Charles to get this from the deck. That is still not a huge issue because they do need Fibrax Resolve to actually do that combo, or Rorodon. But if you hit Fibrax, you're effectively hitting a Rorodon, because very few decks actually play a Rorodon, and have the gas to play through hand traps to summon a Rorodon.
Yeah, that is, most of these cards on the ban list, you actually, think about it, you're wow. There's so many cards they just forgot about. For example, the Phantom Skyblaster. That card is completely fine to come back to 3. Same with, Hero Lives, Circle, Scapegoat, Gazelle, Beatrice, Zenmades, Ptolemidas. All those cards were insane at a time, but, we got to a point where, no one's ever summoning Tower Knight Ptolemidas to summon Infinity anymore. Yeah. It's just not happening.
That was good in 2016 when there were very few negate decks, just a lot of combo decks that could set up a bunch of negates. Now it just doesn't even matter. You can get whatever rank 5 you want. Even the rank 5s aren't even that great right now, and because they really haven't released too many since 2016 when Ptolemidas was good. But yeah, otherwise I think, like I said, the tuners can come back. Destrudo could probably go back to at least 2, maybe even 3, especially without Fibrax. All the tuners except Steam could probably come back. We included Steam just as a discussion point. Monkey Board, Kieran, Plushfire to 1.
Yeah.
Goldstark to 2, honestly. I think that's fine too.
I think cards like Skyblaster, Destrudo probably can all get the 2-of treatment.
Yeah.
Even Astrograph, it could probably go to 3 because, but I understand the safe route.
Yeah, I think that's fine too. Which, Phantom Skyblaster, funny enough, kind of helps Sword Soul in a way. This acts as an alternate normal summon if you have Adhara or if you have Circle, because this plus Vessel or Adhara, it makes Fibrax, but it also makes your level 9 Synchros, which is good, or can make some of your level 8s, depending on it, which I think is fine. I don't think Sword Soul even needs a hit right now. I'm not coming from someone who plays the deck, but it's just not powerful enough compared to everything else that's a problem right now.
Yeah, especially if we ban Hulk, like Sword Soul is a real fair deck. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I just like if you like think about it, most of these cards on the ban list are here for not their actual selves. It's usually some other card, for example, Hulk or like Electromite, and these cards are still paying the price for it.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, especially the tutors. It's always a sad story when people are like, "Why are those cards hit?" Like people making the argument saying, "Hey, Fibrex didn't make those cards good. They're busted on their own. Like no one played them before." Even before, like in 2019, when we had some of the other insane combo decks right before COVID hit and before Fibrex came out, no one was playing those cards anyway. They're just not good without Fibrex. That's the reality. The data shows that.
Yeah, that is the sad truth. And like Tinky, Snake, and Goldsark, yeah, those can all probably go to 2.
Yeah, I think it's good just to beta test these. Tenki is not huge right now. I know it would help Tri-Brigade, but Tri-Brigade isn't doing anything. Like
Tri-Brigade's past its prime. It's if you're playing that deck, you're just simping for Beast Warriors, which is fine.
Yeah,
but
nothing wrong. It's like it's nice. It's a pet deck at this point, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like I like the deck. I probably top 5, maybe top 10 of my favorite decks. But I think this is fine to go to at least 2. Now, there is a Scareclaw Link one that's a Beast Warrior that you can summon, so it helps Tri-Brigade, with Power of the Elements. That's 4 months out, though, and I still don't think it makes it that good compared to everything else that's coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the ban list actually is, because, like most of these cards, I mean, could probably come back, and it'd be... the cards that just need to go would make the format so much better, because I'm sick of joining every duel and seeing either a Fusion Destiny or an Adventure Engine or a Hulk in my opponent's deck. Like, one of those 3 is always in my opponent's deck, which I completely understand why, because those cards are broken. Yeah. But, like, none of those 3 cards should just not exist. But, hey, hopefully we get there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the cards we want to come off, or that could come off, probably won't. And only because like I said, I don't think they're going to make this any crazier for NAWCQ. I think they're just going to hit some of the problem cards, make it a little bit more diverse. People claim that the format's diverse. I mean, it kind of is. It's half-truth. But it's either, like you said, it's either you're playing Fusion Destiny or DPE, Verte, or like a Scythe or Adventure deck, something like that, or all 3.
Yeah, or you're playing one of those 3 engines probably in your deck somewhere, and if you're not, you're probably just handicapping yourself because you feel bad. I don't know.
I think the only deck that doesn't consistently play all of those is Albaz. Even
Albaz is playing adventure cards, so like
they can play DP. I think moving forward though they probably won't, just from what we've seen. But they play Verte. I mean, you have to play Verte in that deck, even if you because if you get your Branded Fusion Ash or negated, like the activation negate, you go into Verte. But you need to play it. You kind of just have to anyway. And every other deck that does something on its own, like Sword Soul, is playing it. Then the only deck that doesn't play it, doesn't play any of those, is Fluandereeze, and it's Fluandereeze.
Yeah, I mean, they can't special summon, and all those cards say special summon, so unfortunately. Sure, if they could, they would be playing all those engines just like every other deck, but God bless, that's not possible.
Yeah, I think they'll change it up, like I said. October, I think we'll see a lot of different decks by then. I'm sure Adventure's going to be phased out by then. DP, 100% is going to be phased out by October. We'll probably see some of the side set decks like Mr. Ruins or Valiance be played. I don't think Valiance is good enough until maybe Power of the Elements, because they get a few support cards. Mr. Ruins are good out of the gate. We'll just have to see what kind of support they get. Oh, I'm also curious as to the Libromancer support, because I like the cards, I like the way they look, I like the way they play. I'm curious to see what they are in Dimension Force and how much Therions sees representation at the NAWCQ.
Yep, I'm totally excited for Nats. Hopefully we get some... man, the big 3 are like, Scythe, Adventure, DPE, Hulk, like I guess those 4. One of them just needs to go, or all four, or all and all those cards are just so toxic.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I will have more discussions on what we will expect with the NAWCQ. We'll have obviously a banlist reaction. Everyone does it. I'm curious to see what happens with this, and then a discussion based on that ban list. And then closer to the event, what you guys need to prepare for, what you guys need to do. We can also provide some tips on what we do for booking, for flights, events, anything like that. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. This is Eric and Nick with OzoneTCG. We will see you guys in the next one.